If you don't already know, the Gamakay LK67 is an excellent budget custom keyboard. In my earlier review, I mentioned that it works great right out of the box, without any mods. While that's true, the case does sound a bit hollow, and the stabilizers, while great, could do with a little extra tuning to really bring out their full potential. I'm going to show you 3 cheap and easy mods you can do to your Gamakay LK67 to help elevate the sound and feel of the keyboard. For this, you'll need tape. You can use painter's tape or masking tape. Lube. We'll be using dielectric grease and Shoutout 205G0. And some dampening foam. I used 2mm EVA foam for this, but you can use any other foam or dampening material you have. First, remove your keycaps and stabilizers from the plate. Now, before you start taking apart the case, remember the issue about the mode selector switch breaking easily? Well, that's a workaround to ensure you don't join the broken switch club. Here's how you can properly disassemble the case. The top case of the LK67 is clipped onto the plate. You'll find clips around the edges of the top case that holds it in place. Get a plastic pry tool or anything else that won't scratch the keyboard and push against the clips to unlatch them. This can be a bit difficult to do, but I found that you can use the switches as a lever for the pry tool. You'll get the right force and angle you need to unclip the top case. Once you've unlatched all the clips, remove the top case from the keyboard. There are 8 screws holding the plate to the bottom case. Remove them and slowly lift the PCB upwards and towards you, while keeping an eye that you're not putting too much force on the mode selector switch. The switch should drop out safely while you're removing the plate. And you've made it. The most difficult part is done. We can now start with the mods. The first mod we'll be doing is the Tempest Tape Mod. I'm not going to go into the science of how this improves the sound, but I'm going to leave a link to Near Lucid's fantastic video in the description. Grab some painter's tape or masking tape. Tape the back of the PCB and leave some space where the battery connector is. I did 3 layers of tape on mine, but you can do between 1 to 5 layers depending on your preference and the space you have inside the keyboard. When you're done, use a screwdriver to poke some holes where the standoffs would go into. Now let's work on the stabilizers next. The stabilizers on the LK67 are decent, but some extra lube would help them feel and sound much better. Take apart the stabilizers, as we'll be applying some Shoutout 205G0 on the housing. Apply an even layer of lube on the outer walls of the stabilizer stem and the inner walls of the housing. For the wire, add a decent amount of dielectric grease on both ends. Reassemble the stabilizer stem and housing, then clip the wire back into the housing. For the spacebar wire, you can also check if it's straight by doing some wire balancing. I didn't have to do it for mine, but check it out anyway. Your mileage may vary. Lastly, we're gonna fill in the case with some dampening material. The LK67 can sound hollow because of the large empty space inside the case. Adding some dampening material here will cut out some of that hollowness and bring out more of the bottom end. You can use any dampening material you want. I went with some 2mm EVA foam because I had some left over from the mods I did with my N Pro 2. Cut out the pieces so they can fit into the empty space on the bottom case. I used 2 layers of EVA foam here, which stacked up to 4mm. In hindsight, I should have went with a silicone pour instead. I think it would have been much easier than cutting out the EVA foam for all the different sections in this case. Now it's time to put this thing back together. Before you fix the PCB onto the case, remove the mode selector switch. The tape mod you did might make it difficult to fit the PCB into the standoffs, even after you've poked holes in it. I was struggling with this for a while, and I almost broke the switch because I was trying to force it down. I removed the switch, fit the PCB into the case again, and pushed it down into the standoffs until it fit properly. By doing this, the standoffs will make a wide enough clearance on the tape, and you won't need to use much force when you're reassembling it. Take the PCB out, put the switch in place, connect the battery cable, and assemble everything back together. It should be much easier now. Here's another tip. Check that the mode selector switch is on the right way before you put it back in. This is how it should look like, with the main nub of the switch facing the escape key on your keyboard. Screw the plate onto the case and insert the stabilizers and switches back in. Attach the top case onto the plate and the clips should pop everything in place. Test your stabilizers at this point to see if they need some extra lube or tuning. You can add more lube if they feel or sound uneven, but make sure you don't over lube them or you'll end up with a mushy mess. And that's it. You're done with your mods and your mode selector switch survived the ordeal. I'll be honest, the LK67 is not the easiest keyboard to mod. If you don't feel like taking the time to do it, or if you don't want to risk the switch breaking, you don't really have to. But if you do want to go down that route, it will lead to a much better feeling and sounding keyboard. I hope this video helps you have a much smoother modding process than I did. I'm going to leave you with a sound test to show you what the keyboard sounds like after these 3 cheap and relatively easy mods. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like, comment and subscribe for more keyboard content. It'll really help me out a lot. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.